Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Talk with Phyzik. How you doing? Welcome to the channel. Hope everyone's doing well. So today's not going to be a scripted video or anything. I'm just going to have a chat and we'll see how it plays out because I think that would be nice. If you enjoy the video today, please do leave it a like and subscribe if you want to help support me and my channel. So a few things I want to talk about today. First, I would like to talk about my last video that I made, the one where I talked about ghosts for a little bit. After watching that back and then reading the comments, it was one comment in particular that suddenly made me think, maybe I was a little bit insensitive in the way that I spoke, and I was. And I want to say, truly, I am really sorry. I didn't mean to come off in the way that I did. It was very angry, very aggressive. But I want you guys to know the reason why I was angry and aggressive is because I was kind of directing it at those YouTubers and those, reality TV shows that use the idea of ghosts and paranormal activities to manipulate and mislead people. I wasn't directing that at you, and I'm really sorry if it came off in that way. I was also, there's no denying the way I spoke was arrogant and it was insensitive, and I am sorry. That was just my opinion. It is simply my opinion that I don't believe in ghosts. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I would be a massive hypocrite if I was to claim that it was an absolute fact that ghosts don't exist, because everyone's had their experiences. Ghosts have played a very big role in our culture for thousands and thousands of years, and some of my long-time fans will probably know that I am quite a spiritual person. I am interested in the possibilities behind certain things, and ghosts fascinate me. They really do. I've always had a keen interest in them and the experiences people have with them. I've also done a Ouija board myself. If you guys would be interested, maybe I could talk about that one day, and I would love for you guys to also share your experiences with me. Another thing I'd like to say is please don't be really aggressive when arguing in the chat. Up until this point, I've done very well by having people being very nice in the chat, and most of you are, but there are some people that are being a little bit mean to each other. It's absolutely fine and completely reasonable and acceptable that people have beliefs in ghosts, so don't claim that people are stupid for thinking that. That's an awful way of looking at things. So yeah, I really am sorry. I didn't mean to come across like that. I really hope I haven't affected the way you see me or affected the way you look at things in that way. The idea of me upsetting you guys is really horrible. It genuinely is. Reading back those comments really did make me realise that I may have stepped out of line a bit. And one of the best things about the viewers of this channel is that all of you are so different and so unique, and you all have a wide range of different beliefs and tastes and ideas about things, and I love that idea. I really do. I like the idea of having a melting pot of people from different cultures and backgrounds. So I definitely want to keep things that way, and yeah, I am sorry. I know I've said sorry a billion times now. So let's move on from this. Next, I would like to talk about a fantastic movie I saw the other day. Some of you may have seen it. If you guys are interested in superhero movies, you probably will have seen it. It is a film called Logan. It is the latest in the X-Men series. Actually, no, it's not. I think Apocalypse might be. But it's the latest in the Wolverine timeline of things, and it was a fantastic way of wrapping up everything. I have never been massively into superhero movies. There are certain ones that I love, but quite a lot of them don't really interest me. The ones I really enjoy are specifically the Dark Knight trilogy. I think they're fantastic. I actually watched The Dark Knight Rises last night. I forgot how wonderful that movie is. Christopher Nolan is an incredibly talented director indeed. But aside from that trilogy, there aren't too many superhero movies that make me go wow, but this Logan, it made me go wow plenty of times. I'm telling you that. It was incredibly refreshing for a start. It was very refreshing because it it was no holds barred. It was very violent, very gruesome, but the main thing that interested me is that it focused on some very dark and some very important subjects, mainly the subject of death. There was a very big theme of death within Logan. You had Professor Xavier, who was on his last legs, almost dead, with a horrible illness, and you have Logan, who was dying, not in a good way at all. So death was a big part of it. It was very depressing, very dark, and very sad, and I love that. I love that. I think that's why I like the Dark Knight trilogy, because they're very realistic, very gritty, and very dark movies. On a technical level, I think Logan was fantastic. I think some of the music was really good. Some of it was a little bit weird. There were a couple of tracks I wasn't fond of, but for the most part, it was really good. The cinematography was fantastic. The set design was wonderful, and the action sequences were really, really good, and as I said, very violent indeed. And I love that. I'm a big fan of violence in movies, only if it's done for the right reasons. Pointless violence is just unnecessary. CGI blood and all that I'm not a fan of either. So yeah, I liked that it was gritty and dark and focused on heavy subjects. It has very sad moments in it. I can't really talk about it because it would give things away. So it was wonderful. It was truly wonderful. If I was to give it a score, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Now, another film that I watched recently is a film called Mother, with an exclamation mark at the end. It's got Jennifer Lawrence in it, who is the main actor from the Hunger Games series. Now, I'm not too opposed to the Hunger Game films. I wasn't too interested in the first one, and it did borrow a lot from Battle Royale, but I think the second one, Catching Fire, that was really good. And I think Jennifer Lawrence is a damn good actor. She is really, really good. And in Mother, that was no different. So Mother is from the director Darren Aronofsky, who created the film Requiem for a Dream, which features Jared Leto and is one of the most disturbing films about addiction that you will ever see. I really recommend it. It's incredible. The music by Clint Mansell is also absolutely wonderful. My only issues with Requiem for a Dream is that it is not entirely accurate to what the life of a drug addict would actually be like in the terms of heroin and stuff like that. But yeah, so Mother is the latest from Darren Aronofsky, made in 2017. Not only does it have Jennifer Lawrence, it also has this fantastic actor who is really good at doing villain type characters. His name is Javier Bardem, I think, and he plays the main villain in No Country for Old Men, and that is one of the best villain roles I've ever seen, ever. Absolutely fantastic, and he was just as good in this film. Mother centers around a house where Jennifer Lawrence's character and Javier Bardem, I can't call them by their character names because they actually don't have character names. They move to a house in the middle of the countryside so they can have time with each other and time to unwind. And from then on out, it becomes this absolute nightmare. A lot of people describe it as a nightmare, and I think that is incredibly accurate. It is the most intense film I've seen in such a long time. It was just chaos, absolute chaos. Now, the film has very, very heavy religious symbolism, and the reason why I'm being quite vague about things is because you have to see it for yourself. You really do. You've got to see it for yourself, because it's like nothing else. I've never seen a film like it, and because of its economic results, I don't think we'll ever see a film like it again. The music is fantastic. It is a wild ride. It truly is. So I would give Mother a 9 out of 10, without a doubt. One of the best films I've seen in a very long time. Check it out, guys. So, as well as Mother and Logan, I have also recently watched a film called Under the Skin. Under the Skin was released in 2013, so it's not as new as the other two. This is a very polarizing film. People either kind of love it and adore it, or they really don't, because it's very abstract, it's very surreal, it's very out there, it's slow, but it's effective, it's very effective. It follows the story of a character played by Scarlett Johansson, who I think is a really wonderful actor, and she plays a mysterious woman who is seducing lonely men, going around in this van, seducing these men, and from then on out, things become a little bit bizarre. You notice that she's not quite what she seems, and there's a little bit more going on. You discover that she isn't quite human, and she doesn't really feel human emotions, but as the film goes on, as she encounters more and more different people, she starts to kind of understand that there's a little bit more to humans, and there's a little bit more going on under the skin. And it's a fascinating film in every single way. It's got one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in a movie. Really, really great. Very intense, very powerful music. Absolutely fantastic. And I really do wish that more films had soundtracks like this. I watch a lot of films like World War Z, for example, and it's just the most standard, boring soundtrack you could possibly imagine. It's the kind of stock music you could find online, and it has no effect on me. It adds nothing. In fact, it takes away from the scenes going on in the film. So, Under the Skin, it's a very interesting film, very interesting. Much like Mother, there's nothing like it out there. It is one of the most unique ways of doing an alien type movie that I've ever seen. It'll make you question things, and it'll make you question humans and what we're all about. So I really recommend it. I would give it an 8 out of 10. I would give it a 9 out of 10, but I don't know. It's a weird one. I need to rewatch it. A lot of people have told me that you have to watch it a few times to really start noticing certain things about it. Anyway, that's Under the Skin. Now, last night I also watched a film called Don't Breathe. Now, this is a wonderful example of how horror can be done. So, Don't Breathe came out in 2016. And it is directed by Fede Alvarez, and it's a very good example of how horror can be done without jump scares. I mean, there are some jump scares, and I'm not completely opposed to jump scares. I'm just opposed to unnecessary jump scares, because jump scares aren't inherently scary. They're startling, but they're not scary. If you involve a jump scare within an intense and atmospheric environment, then they can become scary. So the whole idea of this movie is that there's a group of people, there's two guys and a girl, and they go around robbing houses, doing these burglaries to make money, and at first you think, oh, these are idiots. Why would I want to have faith in them? You know, why would I want them to succeed in this movie? But as it goes along, you find out they are quite genuine, real people, and they're only really doing this because they're in a horrible struggle. For example, the female character, her mother is complete alcoholic who abuses her and blames her for all the bad things that happen in her life. So you start to feel for these characters. Other than one of the guys, he was a complete idiot and you didn't want him to succeed on any level. So they suddenly get a tip that there's a house they can rob, and it is owned by an old war veteran who's blind, and so they think, oh, this will be easy peasy, and they find out that this blind war veteran is sitting on a settlement of around $300,000 in this house. But you also start to feel for this guy because he's a blind war veteran, and his child was murdered. So you think, oh god, you can't rob this person. This is ridiculous. But as the story goes on, you find out that this guy isn't quite what he seems, and he's not quite as nice as you thought. So it's fantastic because it is very, very disturbing. This war veteran is ruthless, and he's very skilled, obviously, because he fought in the war, so he knows combat very well, and it is a fantastic premise for a horror movie because there is so much tension built up when they're trying to creep around this house, and you're hoping that they don't make any noise. One of the complaints I would have with this movie is the same complaint I have with most Hollywood horror films, which is that the characters act in such a moronic way. It's just so silly. Most of the time they're just standing around when they should be running, you know, and it gets aggravating watching stuff like that. However, I know that that's what makes it interesting. If they did what would be smart, then it wouldn't be quite as fun. So I think this is a fantastic example of how horror should be done. When I first watched the trailer, I thought, this looks like a load of rubbish. It looks like a stupid idea and it won't be very good. So I was really, really, really happily surprised when I found out that it was as good as it was. So I would give Don't Breathe a 7.5 out of 10. So those are my movie reviews. I will be streaming tonight, which is Friday the 2nd of March at 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. I don't really know why I'm saying this, because by the time this video's up, I will probably already have done the stream, maybe? So yeah, anyway, I do really apologize about the video yesterday. I approached that in a crappy way. Feel free to let me know about any experiences you've had, and please don't let this affect your opinion of me. I did not intend to be as insensitive as I was, but clearly watching it back, I was very rude in the way that I spoke about it, so I am sorry. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Hope everyone's doing well, and I will see you in the next one. Ta-ta, bye-bye now.